and welcome to Career Center. I'm Kimberly White, Executive Director of the Community Career Center, a resource center located in Naperville for people in career transition. Later on Career Center, Scott Reffett and Amy Clark will join me to discuss financial decisions during a career or life transition. But first, I'm happy to have Senior Director from National Able, Matt Weis, on the show. Matt,
Hi.
welcome.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm so excited about our partnership. But before we delve into that, I want to have you share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been with Able for about 4 years now. I've been doing workforce work for about 15, running a variety of programs. My claim to fame was I've helped about 30,000 or so Illinoisans find work over that point. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not an exact number, and I didn't directly help them find it, but through programs that I've managed and created.
That's awesome.
It's worked out real well.
Yeah. Now, have you always been in IT?
No. It's for about the last 10 years, I've really focused my workforce work in IT. Okay. It's a growing field. It's something that folks, we're seeing job seekers have a passion to enter. And so giving them the tools that they need to do that it's really kind of become my focus over the last few years.
So hearing you say it's a growing field and it's something you weren't doing at first, so you can kind of understand when people take a career transition, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many jobs out there that go unfilled with IT, plus companies are growing like crazy. We're obviously doing a lot of economic development with technology companies. The face of the workforce is changing. Technology is really kind of permeating every facet of things. And so getting folks into that and giving them an opportunity to have a career path is really our main focus, especially with IT Career Lab.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about is what's trending in IT world, and so let's kind of talk a little bit about that too. And
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now we're seeing a lot, obviously, in the coding realm. You can't get enough folks to write code, so we're seeing that. It's not necessarily our specialty, but we obviously work with employers that do that type of work. We're seeing a big need for help desk folks. Basically, that's entry-level support type of individuals who help someone if their computer is broken, right? So let's say your computer shut down on the job. You need some help. Who are you going to call? You're going to call the help desk. There's not a catchy song to that either, but I wish there was. But so, those are really the two main boxes that we're seeing. There's obviously, jobs out there for management type folks, network administrators, senior managers, things like that. We're seeing a lot of that. And informatics, especially in the north suburbs, we're seeing kind of a big surge in the need for informatics.
Expand on that a little bit.
Really working with big data. And we're seeing a need for a lot of SQL programmers. We're seeing a need for people to know things like Oracle and have certifications in that to stay competitive. Okay.
And of course, with IT jobs, it kind of spans the industries, right? So
every employer is an IT employer. I like to say they all have an IT department. And so we work with everybody to help really make sure that they're able to fill their IT needs. And what's really great about it is we're a free resource.
That's always nice. Free is always good.
I love it.
So I'm excited about this partnership because we're going to be helping people get certifications and land jobs, people who want to transition into a new career. So IT Career Lab, let's just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so IT Career Lab is a 16-week training program that we developed about 5 years ago. And what we found was that the folks that we were seeing through our internal IT shop at National Able just weren't really cutting it. And we were trying to figure out why that was the case. And so we came up with IT Career Lab after we figured out that the genesis of their problems was that their training was too short. A lot of folks came to us without certifications. We wanted to fix that. So we created IT Career Lab. It's a 16-week training program where folks earn 3 certifications, one of which is a Microsoft certification and 2 of which are Cisco. All of them are technical certifications where the client can use those to transition to the next job. But moreover than that, really start to push the career ladder and look 3 to 5 years out and still have these certifications be relevant.
And so they will get all 3. There's not, is there an option to just do 1 or 2 or?
They can do 1 or 2. The program has room for all 3, meaning that it's built in. So people test where they train. We make sure that folks really are learning what they need to obtain those credentials, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what's going to make them marketable.
So let's touch on each certification separately.
Sure.
So the first one is?
Yeah, so Microsoft MCSA in Windows 10.
Okay.
It's basically a Windows 10 configuration certification.
Okay.
So if a company has Windows 10, they need to either deploy it, they're currently using it, or they've got end users that are working on computers with Windows 10. Our students can work on those machines and really do a lot of technical configuration with those.
Okay, all right. And then the second one?
Yeah, it's the kind of the CCENT, which is a very entry-level Cisco certification. Cisco still owns about 80% of the market share when it comes to routing and switching, which is the backbone of the internet. And so that's a real entry-level cert that folks can use to just get an entry into that type of work. And then the third certification is the CCNA, and that's the Cisco Certified Networking Associate. That's a very advanced level certification.
And so where then these folks can take, they don't have experience, but they have the certification. So employers are eager to hire them with certification only?
It depends on the circumstance. Sometimes we have to kind of go into our workforce toolkit and pull out a few unique things that we use, such as subsidized employment, paid work experience, where we're actually the employer of record for people, but they're going to work at a private company.
Okay.
That's one of the tricks that we use.
Yeah.
On-the-job training, obviously, is an important one where we'll reimburse the employer. Other times, we've just got relationships with either staffing firms that staff IT jobs or with direct hire organizations that we can place these folks with.
And so these relationships with these employers are all around the Chicagoland.
Yep. Yeah, we're seeing, obviously in the city, we know that downtown there's a lot of IT jobs. North Shore, we're seeing more and more, and then obviously the western suburbs too. There's been a lot, which is really why we want to come to Naperville and do this.
Right. No, we're excited to be able to bring you
great.
guys here. Yeah, and so you said earlier there's no fee associated. What else comes with this? And how does, let's take that first.
Sure. So what we really try to do is utilize a number of different funding streams so that clients don't have to pay. We understand when someone's unemployed, the first thing that is really hit is their pocketbook. That's number one. They don't have any earnings coming in. They're oftentimes having to sell things to get by or just really eke it out. We don't want someone to have to fit the bill for training. And so we utilize the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act as a way of funding. We also have a couple other grants that we can utilize for funding as well. What comes with that? It's all instructor-led training. It's on-site at the Naperville Community Career Center, soon to be at the end of March, and everyone gets a laptop too. And part of that is we realize that folks, again, we don't know their situation at home. We don't know the kind of computer that they have. All of the curricula is virtualized on the laptop. The training is hands-on, but someone really needs a very stable way to get that and to work at home and to do practice exams, and so that's why we furnish a laptop for them as well.
Can anyone decide to transition into IT and be good at it, if you will?
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
It's not for everybody. There's a pretty high bar for customer service with entry-level IT jobs. Folks who've done any type of phone support in the past, any type of customer service in the past, they do really, really well. If you're, transitioning from, I don't know, some other type of industry, something that doesn't have a lot of transferable skills, we got to take that on a case-by-case basis. There is a lot of math that's within IT, and so the person has to really enjoy math. They have to like it. They have to read at really an 8th grade level or above in order to really comprehend the material that we teach. So those are kind of the really hard factors that we take into account.
Okay. And then who qualifies for this program?
Yeah, so really anybody who's interested in IT, but if you're looking to have some help with funding the program, we're really looking at unemployed individuals. That's National Label's mission, that's IT Career Lab's mission, that's what we do. We help unemployed folks find their next job. So part of that is this program. So if you're unemployed, you've either been in the industry, you're looking to transition in the industry, we'd love to talk to you.
So sounds like a great program, right? We're super excited about that. But National Able, let's talk a little bit more about National Able. I know it's a great organization in the city.
Yeah, we've been around for 40 years. We're a not-for-profit. We specialize in all types of services for all types of workers. We're a workforce development agency at our core. And so what that means is we help folks really transition into their next job, whether that be an entry-level type of position or that's something a little more advanced, we can assist with it.
And is it just folks that are in Chicago, or do you take?
We're across 5 different states.
Okay.
So we operate programs in most of the Midwestern states. I'm not going to try to name them all, but they're all there. And in the Chicagoland area, yes, we serve really the bulk of Cook County and have now branched out specifically with our vocational training programs and a few other programs that we have to the surrounding collar counties.
And are all your programs are there's a process in terms of who qualifies and all of that.
That's right. Yeah, and it's really dependent upon which type of funding there is often utilized for that. I don't typically like to talk in terms of acronyms or programs or funding when we're dealing with a person that needs to get back to work because they don't typically care or want to hear it. They just need help.
Right.
And so we're really going to help someone regardless of funding. We're just going to sit down and work with that person if they really need the help. That said, there are programs that can provide special things to certain populations that do qualify for them. One of them is our Senior Community Service Program. We're obviously a Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act recipient, and then we've got our vocational training program.
Can you talk a little bit about the WIOA?
Sure. Yeah.
Since you brought it up.
Yeah, it's a great program. It's really meant to help take any job seeker from any walk of life, really any industry, from and really figure out rather what they need to get them back to work quickly. Whether that's training, whether that's just some kind of higher level career services. They could need a resume revamped. They could just need interviewing assistance. That program can provide that. And it's done at any number of the American job centers that are found throughout the United States. In Cook County, we operate those in Chicago Heights and Pilsen. There are also those out here as well. I know WorkNet DePage is a big partner of ours too.
So back to the Career Lab, just to make sure that I understand this too. They're not only going to get the certifications, right? But they're also going to, you're going to teach them some interviewing skills and help them with a resume. Will all that come into play?
That's right, yeah. So there's obviously time dedicated in class to do those job readiness skills, we like to call them. It's really important, especially when you're talking to someone who's been out of work for 6 months, a year, 2 years, any length of time, that you got to meet them where they're at, but also understand really what is it going to take to get them into the interview. And I think a lot of our clients have difficulty both crafting a resume that can showcase their technical skills, but moreover than that, one that can navigate applicant tracking systems that companies put in place. We found that tends to be a real barrier to entry for a lot of our clients.
So, that barrier, that ATS system, got to get through that for sure.
You got to get by the robot,
Yeah.
To speak to the human.
Yeah.
So we work on that with them. We've got a resume template that we like to use that really strips out a lot of the formatting. We found that that's best to help them navigate those applicant tracking systems and to really just get to a decision maker, get seen by a human. That's the goal.
Right. Well, very good.
Yeah.
I am so excited.
I am too.
Yeah, and
great.
excited for the folks in the area to be able to benefit from that.
We're really looking forward to coming to DuPage County, specifically to Naperville.
Great. Well, thank you. So, Matt, we are out of time. I want to thank you, and I look forward to our partnership.
Thanks.
Up next, Scott Reffett and Amy Clark from Thrivent to discuss making wise financial decisions during a career or life transition. We'll be right back after these important public service announcements.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self, and I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to Career Center. I'm Kimberly White, Executive Director of the Community Career Center, and I'm happy to have on the show from Thrivent Financial, partner Scott Reffett, and Community Engagement Leader Amy Clark. Welcome, Scott and Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
Community Engagement Leader, I love that.
It's a fun title.
Yeah, and it sounds like a fun job, so let's hear a little bit about it.
It is a fun job.
Yeah.
I've been with Thrivent for about 2 years, and the Community Engagement Leader, I work with our churches, nonprofits, and community organizations, helping them with our fraternal resources.
Okay.
And I do work with our financial representatives as well in marketing.
Okay, and when you say fraternal, what does that mean, fraternal resources?
Because we're a not-for-profit financial services company, some of the money that we would spend in taxes goes back into the community. And our members are able to direct it, and we have
Okay.
different programs that do that, so I help educate the people, the recipients, on how they can get those dollars and resources.
Okay, great. Well, I love it. I love the title. So. All right, and Scott, let's hear a little bit about Scott.
Yeah, I'm a partner. My role, I actually partner with Amy, working with the financial reps. A big part of what I do is try to find talented people to join our organization. And then once they join and the teams that are with us, make sure they have the resources so they can serve their members and their clients.
Okay. All right, so Amy was saying a little bit about Thrivent. Tell me, just kind of on a bigger level, what is Thrivent? Who is Thrivent?
Yeah, well, Fraternal Benefit Society, that gives us a not-for-profit status. Probably our mission statement's the best way to know who we are. So what we do, we help people be wise with money, live generously, and we know if that happens, if that combination happens, they'll have an impact not only on their own families, but on the communities. So a lot of what I do and a lot of what we do, my side of the equation, is helping people with the financial resources. Anything from life insurance to investment management, everything in between. So.
And the reputation of Thrivent, I mean, I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, we've been around for 115 years, 116 this year, knock on wood we make it. But Thrivent has, we started, what intrigued me about Thrivent years ago was we started as an organization that wasn't meant really to make a lot of money. We ended up making a lot of money, but it was really to help others. And 116 years later, it's still our mission statement. And I just saw something, we are voted one of the most ethical companies in the world, and we've gotten that 6 years in a row. So I think when you're dealing with a financial services company especially, that's something you should probably want.
Yeah.
So we're proud of that.
Absolutely.
We have a best kept secret on the Fortune 500 list too.
Oh, really?
Right, exactly. So a lot of people don't realize that small company, but we're actually a very large company.
So tell me, how does one connect with you all in terms of, you said that you work with some of the churches and nonprofit partners, and how does all that work?
You want to start?
Yeah, I think it starts with our financial representatives, really, and who they're connected to, who their natural market is, and then we help foster even deeper relationships. So if a church works with a financial representative, we do financial education, we do workshops there, even member-led workshops. Same with some of our nonprofits that we work with. We'll help do the retirement plans for their staff, like 403Bs and so forth, and also with the community organization, helping with volunteer places for our members that they want to get together and do a volunteer project as well. Too.
And how does one, so let's kind of change it up a little bit. If someone were recently laid off, what's some career advice or financial advice you would give that person in terms of retirement and...
Yeah, there's a number of things they can do. I think one of the most important things they do is talk to a financial advisor. A lot of times they don't want to because I don't have any money to invest. But it's really about knowing what your options are. In your 401k, do you leave it at your company? Do you roll it over? What are the rules around that? Just to make sure you don't make mistakes on that, because sometimes you get in a hurry to do things and you don't have to be. And knowing what your benefits are. Are my benefits going to still be there? Do I have to go out and find new benefits? So those are a lot of things that if you sit down with a financial advisor, hopefully a Thrivent financial advisor, will walk you through that process.
And everyone's situation is different, and so you mentioned benefits. So you're gonna take all that into consideration,
right? Because it's very intimidating, right? You're already going through the shock of a career transition or a career loss. The last thing you really want to do is dig into all this analytical, technical stuff, and that's what the advisor is there for. Because some people don't really realize what they had as a retirement benefit and what they can take with them or what they should leave behind. So that's what our financial advisors do day in and day out. So they can really break it down into layman's terms and help someone with the process and take off the stress, take the stress off their plate.
And you don't really know until you've been laid off, and now it's let me look and see what's out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And most people aren't expecting it.
Yeah.
It's an unexpected event.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about interviewing, because I know that you guys obviously are interviewing reps.
Right.
What are some do's and don'ts that you have found through this interview process?
Well, I think the number one thing someone can bring to an interview is confidence.
Okay.
If you can tell a story and if you can roll with the punches, that can make up for gaps on your resume. So personally, bringing your personality to the forefront so we get a taste of what you're like in the workplace, that people should not shy away from that. That makes the interview fun too.
Yeah.
So if we're having fun, that puts the
Right.
person who's interviewing at ease as well.
Yeah.
And that usually starts with them bringing part of their personality into it as well.
And the storytelling is big. I know I hear that quite a bit
Right.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really want to know, obviously what skills people have, but we also want to know their characteristics. Are they confident? Are they driven? Are they well connected in their community? So, as you said, if they have the story around that and not just related to former work experience, that's really important.
What are some don'ts that you've seen? You're laughing.
I try to block those out.
Yeah, right. I think, and this is probably, don't be boring.
Yeah.
I think
So bring your personality and don't be boring.
Because you
Absolutely.
don't want to
Yeah.
be too technical, like you Googled the answer,
Yeah.
right? Or give us the answer you think we would want to hear. It just it
Exactly.
comes off as fake. It's better to be yourself and make a mistake or appear to be goofy if you're goofy than try to be too by the book or like you're going down bullet points.
Right.
I do think they can be prepared. Go on, if you're interviewing, whether it's us or another company, go on their website.
Got to
right?
know about the company.
Find out who they are.
Yeah.
Know,
That's the
know
biggest
a little
don't,
bit, right?
actually, right? If you don't know about a company, that's like the biggest don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
What else? What else are you guys seeing when you interview? What else are you looking for in a client? I mean, obviously personality. You're looking for
We
someone who
always
can.
ask about what's going on in their personal life too. Like one of the questions we ask is, what do you personally do to stay at your best? Because if we look and see if if they answer like, oh, I go to the gym every day, or I've trained for a marathon, or I really am interested in this volunteer or this passion project, you get to see a little bit what's behind their work environment, because they will bring that to the workplace. If they're passionate about something and have goals in their personal life, they usually have goals in their work life too.
Do you find that people hesitate on answering that question or not?
Not really. I think what we usually do, we usually give them heads up before they come to the interview.
Okay.
Here's a list of questions we're going to ask you, so they can be
I love
prepared.
it.
We prepare people, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to be able to share that is great. But I think if I were asked that off the cuff, I'd be very like, what should I say or not say? What are they trying to trick me into?
No tricks.
Yeah, we just want to be we want people to be as transparent as possible, because we're not into this for a 2-week relationship. This is hopefully a
Long-term.
lifetime.
Yeah, that's how we get
And
the
you guys
questions
have
ahead of
people
time.
that have been there for a long time, right?
Yeah, we just can't get them to leave sometimes.
We got to get some of our job seekers over there. What is your process in terms of onboarding people? What does that look like?
Yeah, our process, we have a selection process, and I really break it down in 3 parts. And one part is our selection process, where we want to meet somebody. Generally, they've been referred to us, or somebody said, hey, this is somebody you should meet. We have assessments. We have some online assessments we do, and then we have a formal interview process. And that is really our selection process. And then they go through what I would call the industry selection process, meaning they have to have licenses to be in our businesses. And if they can get through that selection process too, and then the hardest selection process is the community. Is the community going to accept you? And so we really look at it as a 3-year process, because that last part takes a long time.
Right. So will someone come to you? They typically will have a license already, or is that something they
not
can?
necessarily.
Necessarily. We
Okay.
sponsor them for that.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, so you cover any fees or?
Yes.
Okay. So you have people entering the workforce maybe that have been out for a while, women re-entering the workforce, or say a recent college graduate or
Right.
someone. What does that look like?
Well, I'd say for a woman that's taken some time off for kids too, but going back to the confidence
Yeah.
thing, they don't need to be insecure about that, because it just shows that they're dedicated in general.
Right.
They're dedicated to their family, and that many of them have past business experience or have done businesses on the side, maybe like a part-time role as well. So it really comes down to your personality and your overall experience, and they should not be as worried about different gaps that they may have in their resume.
Right.
Yep.
And that volunteer piece too.
Absolutely.
Many of them are volunteer.
Absolutely.
And we hear it all the time at the center. Well, I'm just a volunteer. I've only volunteered for my kids' school, but there's so much.
No,
so
those
many
are big
skills
jobs.
and all the that comes
Well,
with
if you
it.
have a relationship management skills, that's just
Right.
key. If you
Yeah.
can do that.
What does that work-life balance look like for a financial advisor?
I think that's what's exciting about working for Thrivent, because it's such a values and ethics-driven company that we really put our money where our mouth is in that. So many of our top advisors still take time to coach their kids' Little League, or they're able to have work flexible schedules where they can be off with their kids. Or, this past Friday when it was a snow day, people are able to work from home if their kids are off sick too. It's been a challenging winter, but many of them do find when they're owning their own business, like being a financial representative, they can really work that family time in.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think that we really talk about that a lot, work-life balance. Because again, it's not like we want you here a long time. And so we want to make sure you do have that work-life balance, because you're going to need the support from home too.
Right, right. And what about the newly graduated student? How would they kind of infiltrate that?
Yeah, I think
process?
it's important for us to pair them up with a mentor or put them together on a team. Because it is difficult right out of college when you're building a business. It's difficult for anyone, but if you're not bringing that years of experience. So that's part of what Scott and I do, is to pair people together. But depending on skills, if someone's more analytical, if someone's more a people person, and finding different teams where we can place that person.
Yeah, that's why we say that the launch process is really 3 years. Because we spend a lot of time with them on training, matching them up with mentors, language skills, soft skills. We spend a lot of time on that, and we have a lot of support in that area, and I think it's appreciated.
So you do workshops around the soft skills piece, or?
Yeah, they have team building events and one-on-one counseling, and in small groups as well. A lot of our first-year reps, they meet every month together in a workshop, and they do role playing and they set goals amongst themselves. We give a lot of attention to the reps in their first 4 years, actually, too.
We do a lot of things to drive cultures, and some of it is just having some fun once in a while. So.
Good. And so what about the networking piece? Because they have to, especially like a new graduate or some, they really have to have a good network, right, for this role?
Well, I think social media makes it easy too these days, with LinkedIn or with Facebook or even with Instagram, and things are so transparent now too. If you're in a networking group, people get what it's there for too. Or if they go to a church, if they're in a small group where they're volunteering with a core of people and making relationships, and people understand to refer business too.
Well, it sounds like a great place to work, and I know we're excited about the partnership that we're going to be having at Community Career Center with Thrivent. So
thank you.
Amy, Scott, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
I also want to thank Matt Weis from National Able for joining me on this month's edition of Career Center. And to our television audience, if you are unemployed, underemployed, or seeking a career change, visit the Community Career Center at 1815 West Diehl Rd, Suite 900 in Naperville, or search us on the web at www.communitycareercenter.org to learn more about the resources available to you as you search for your next success. Thank you so much for watching.